Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. I'm Les Winston. I'm your host, and I'm also the national spokesperson for the Endow American Network Foundation, and they are the hosts of this show. The Endow American Network Foundation is all about getting people to endow themselves and endow the community that they live in when they pass. That's what Congress did when they passed these sections of the tax code that we focus on, Section 664 and similar sections that allow you to make gifts, keep income, and get a tax deduction, and then pass on the results of your accumulation to a charity of your choice so that they can do the work that they do and what you also want to support. It's a little different than Social Security. You build your endowment with Social Security, but when you pass on, you don't have any rights to pass on that money to anybody else. So we call this social security. The theory of social security is 664 equals E squared, where there are two endowments, one for yourself to live on and to pass on to people that you care about, and then at their demise, it goes into the community that you live in, which is a great way to support your community. Unfortunately, this has not been a focus of the government for all these years, since 1969. If it had been, we would have a lot of communities today that would have adequate charitable funding, be able to do all the work that is necessary without having to worry about raising money, where it would be endowed because there's enough capital to support it. But and this is called, planned giving. It's called, planning ahead for nonprofits. It's very difficult for them to do because most nonprofits are living current dollars. That's how it works. But nonprofits are very important. They do a lot of wonderful things in the community, a lot of wonderful things all over the world. And my guest today is Lorraine Tallman, who is, what is your position with the Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels?
No, good morning and
Good
thank you.
morning.
My position is I'm the CEO for Amanda Hope.
CEO. Great.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about, I was reading a little bit about the work that you're doing for children primarily.
Mhm.
So tell me about the cause, Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels.
And well, Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels actually started in 2012. We were raising money for children fighting cancer, and how we started was my daughter fought cancer twice, leukemia the first time and a brain tumor the second. So
Sorry.
thank you, during those 4 years in the hospital, we saw a lot of gaps in care and what families truly needed, from financial health to mental health. And so living that and seeing it with our own eyes, we saw devastation and people losing their homes, and of course their children and the siblings suffering just as much mental anguish as the patient and the parents and the grandparents. So we took all of those needs, and my daughter created a bucket list. And she also designed an apparel line called Comfy Cozies for Chemo, different
Okay.
compartments for all their ports and Broviacs and feeding tubes. So at 12, when she fought the second time, she didn't like her body being exposed. And so we took all of her experience and created a foundation to help children all over the world. So that's how we started. And here we are 12 years later, literally helping children around the world.
So these childhood illnesses, childhood cancers, are they becoming more prevalent? Are you seeing that?
We really are seeing it for real. As a matter of fact, I was in a healthcare meeting this morning going, what is going on in our environment where our increases?
Mhm.
We're seeing it every day. I mean, it's down to every 2 minutes a child's being diagnosed with cancer right now. And it's the number one disease that kills children, period. So
Okay.
we're
Wow.
we're
Didn't
seeing a
know that.
lot.
So the work that you do, and you're doing it all over the world, you say. How do you become available to the public for people who have this problem? What is the take-in process? How do you do that?
For the adaptive apparel and the mindfulness kits, that's the one service that we'll do globally. And usually we get those referrals from the social media parent groups and for the social workers in the hospital. So we'll get those referrals every day from one of those two sides, either the hospital or the different Facebook groups, the Instagram groups and things like that, where moms chit chat amongst themselves. So those are the two driving forces. And then we'll work with different medical teams that go into another country that are working with pediatric children. And, we'll pack suitcases with comfy cozies and,
So
if
there's a product,
there's
when I say
thing.
product, there's something that you've created that actually is necessary for the comfort and care of children and these comfy cozies. What explain that a little bit because I don't think people really recognize. I mean, I guess when you are a parent and you come to the hospital and see your child and with the tubes and all these things going on, is that how that got started?
Yes, because as my daughter was going through treatment, she did not like being in a chemo room where someone else, grandfather or uncle or family member, could see her body.
Mm.
And when they were doing different intakes, blood, food, whatever it is, she didn't want anyone else to see it. She was very private. And so she had a dream one night of these apparel that had peekaboo compartments in 2012.
Oh,
And I have a product development background, so I started searching
good.
for ways to create this apparel, and then we actually did.
And
So
do you sell that apparel? Do you sell that apparel? Is that how you raise money?
we sell it to adults. So we have the adult comfy cozies. My husband also fought cancer, and so
Hmm.
having quick access to the port or the Broviac, and the nurses love it. Oncology nurses love our apparel. So adults will pay for them, but children always get the comfy cozy care kits for free. And so
That's
how do
very
we raise
nice.
that money? We sell them to adults so that children get them free.
That's great. That's wonderful to the heart.
Thank you.
You know, we have a podcast that we do, which is called Funny Money. The first podcast that I did was my an interview with God. I always think of how fragile things can be and how important it is for us to be caring for other people. And we're actually a formula of love in a sense because we want to love ourselves first, but then we also want to love the community and help other people. And human kindness, building human kindness is really important. And what you're doing, I don't think there's anything that's more important than kindness to children that are in that position and that condition. And the parents and everybody else, the family are all affected. The counseling that you do, does it work?
It does work because we also not only are we doing counseling, but and some parents maybe are not ready for counseling, but we have life coaches and mindfulness coaches so that we can work wherever our families are need us the most. But the counseling really works because we're tr literally training how to have the best coping skills. And every day you're having a good day, the next day they're like, well, we don't know if your child's going to make it through the next 24 hours. So it's such a roller coaster. So
Yeah,
to be able to work with our families, just teaching them, how to breathe when they're feeling anxious, different tapping techniques, different, mindfulness. There's certain songs that they'll learn. We do tools. My favorite one is with backpacks with children. We fill it with heavy, cans of goods, and then we take it all apart and we're like, well, do you have a job? You can't pay the mortgage, right? So that comes out of your backpack. Do you do your brother's homework? No. So let's take that out of the backpack. So whatever it is around the children's life. And then we have them walk around our therapy rooms with a much lighter bag. And so, we're really teaching our children, what they are responsible for, making their bed, taking their medicine, doing their homework. This is your responsibility. This is your siblings. This is mom and dad's or grandma, grandpa, whoever the caregivers are in the family. So we work on just simple, basic training. And then we work on, sand trait therapy if they're having nightmares or night sweats. So we have all these different, I call them play techniques because children's language is in play. And so we literally play with the children, teaching them coping skills.
right. That and to me that would be the most important aspect of this because as bad as the physical illness is, the impact that it has on everybody, on their just your thoughts and your process, parents it's got to be terrible, and especially if there's a loss, ultimately a loss, which is probably very hard to deal with. So how do you also have counseling for where there's bereavement and all the things that go along with that as well?
Yes, and we started, and we have grievance dinners where the families bring photographs of their children. We have a beautiful catered three-course dinner, and they all get to share about their families. We have sound healing, we have prayer, whatever the family is at, we have that available. And it actually came about because, I did end up losing my little girl to the second cancer was the brain tumor, and the stress of everything we went through and the financial duress. My husband got a lot of ulcers from it, and we couldn't afford therapy or counseling. And then my husband got stomach cancer from it, and then I
Okay.
lost my husband after that. So
Hmm.
mental health is a huge part of our family foundation, and we make sure that that's why it's always offered free. Because I know personally, between the loss of my daughter and my husband, what stress can lead to. So it's one of our primary
Yeah,
goals.
I would imagine. And distractions. I notice the word distractions. I guess it would be nice to go to a baseball game and not think about what you have to think about. Is that the theme?
Exactly. We have all kinds of major distractions, whether it is a baseball game, a concert. We do wellness clinics here where moms can come get a massage and children get to play. And, and we have different movie nights that we have. And we have festivals here where the kids can do remote control cars. And, so we're constant, every month we're having these, we call them major distractions because we don't want our children to remember chemo every day and what they went through. We want them to have these golden nuggets throughout their treatment that they can remember when they had a wonderful time. So we call them major distractions because we don't want them to think about what they're going through all the time.
Do you have any questions you want to ask me about what we do?
Well,
So,
I love that what you do share about the endowments because it really is the gift of life because you're gone and you're giving a gift of life. And so, for our charity, the Comfy Cozies and the Care Packs, they run us $50. So for us, we touch I mean, we get between 100 and 130 new children every month that are diagnosed that come to us for care.
oh,
And so,
that's you have to be able to do what you need to do financially. I'm sure that there's expenses involved. So one of the things that is good about what we're doing with endowments is that the size of the giving is much greater because we're using these devices which allow people to give non-cash assets. That's really what this is about. And they can give a non-cash asset, get income back from it, even though they've given it away, because that's what these trusts were that the government gave us. They said you can take money, take something, put it into a charitable trust, and get income from it for the rest of your life. And then when you pass on, that's when that becomes a charitable gift. And those create much bigger gifts and make it easier to build endowment, which I think is almost every nonprofit's dream would be to have an endowment that can support all the work that they're doing. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So Lorraine, I call you Lorraine?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So Lorraine Tallman, you have a personal experience that's put you into this position. It seems to me that this is a place where you're operating at your genius, that you love to do this 24 hours a day because it's, well, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, it is
What's the
definitely
excitement?
a passion of mine. And also, my little girl held my hand before she took her last breath and said, Mommy, say, I promise you're going to help every child. And so I have that in my soul. But basically, when learning so much about pediatric cancer and how it's the least funded and that it's still the number one disease that kills children in America, it boggles my mind that we do not have more resources for families fighting cancer. And, even when I go to Washington and advocate for more data, for more research dollars, I mean, basically, children only get 3.8% of all the research dollars that go into cancer. That's it. And so it's a hard hurdle because you got pharmaceutical companies, but do they want to help the 400,000 children that are being diagnosed with cancer this year, or do they want to help the 16 million adults? They're going to make more money on the adults, right? And so that's
Yeah.
just reality. And it sounds harsh, but it's the truth,
Well,
you
the
know?
communities, one of the problems, one of the things you're raising is, of course, that you're going to the government to ask the government for a grant, which is kind of weird for the government to support non-governmental organizations. And so, but unfortunately, that's how things have evolved, and we're trying to make a change in that. And
Yes.
we really want to help all organizations, and especially your organization doing the work that you're doing. It's a very, very, very difficult subject,
It's
childhood
it's a
illnesses.
painful subject, but unless you're directly affected by childhood cancer, you have no idea the cost and even our insurance structure.
Yeah.
A middle class family is the one that's going to really hurt and pay the price because if your insurance only pays for 4 MRIs a year and you need 12 because you're fighting a brain tumor,
Mhm.
but then you're paying for that other 8 MRIs. So the
Yeah.
whole concept of your insurance only, you only have 10,000 out of pocket costs. That's out of pocket costs that are actually covered under your plan. If your plan doesn't cover what you need, you have to raise the funds to pay for that for your child. Most people don't realize that once you're dealing with, very medically fragile child, insurance from different insurance companies don't pay
Yeah.
everything. And there
And
is
then
a
it
big
become then it
burden.
becomes a financial hazard to the entire well-being of the family in a sense. And that's something that really needs to be worked on. So Lorraine, how do people help you?
Well, the number one thing is if you know any child that needs our services, they can go to amandahope.org. They can follow our Comfy Cozies on Instagram and message us for children that they know, share our website on their social media. And then, of course, if you want to sponsor a child, it's $50 a month. Sponsor one child a month. But then the endowment, I mean, we want to have a strong future. Amanda, at the age of 12 passed. This is our 12th year anniversary, so it's a big deal for us this year. We're celebrating. But pediatric families just need a hand up as they're fighting for their life. And so, those donations
So it's
literally
$50
touch.
a month to support a child. Do you have an endowment that you started?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
So
people
yeah.
can contribute to your endowment if they wanted to
Mhm.
as well. We have a radio station as well that we will be playing the broadcast on. So give us the place where they can go to learn more about it one more time.
amandahope.org. That,
AmandaHope.org. And
yeah, and
Amanda Hope,
it's
who was
actually
Amanda Hope? I didn't even ask. Who's Amanda Hope?
Amanda Hope is my daughter. That was actually her
Okay.
name.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so we do everything in her honor for her legacy. And it has been a difficult but a marvelous journey. Especially I have some kiddos that I was working with a few years ago that are now oncology nurses. I
Wow.
see them in the hospital. We're like, yeah. So, our children do grow up to be extraordinary human beings, but they also grow up with a lifetime of health issues. Their livers are never the same, their kidneys are never the same, their hearing. So they will constantly be in medical care, our children, from the side effects of we're using the same drugs from 1950 and 1970.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that
It's
that
hard.
hasn't progressed more.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I hope
But
that there's a cure out there somewhere so that you don't have to do what you're doing in the way that you're doing. You can do other things that might be also valuable. But I thank you very much for joining us today, Lorraine, on the Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. What you do is about human kindness, and we admire that very much. And thank you for being on our road to human kindness. Thank you.
and thank you for sharing Amanda's dreams. It's
You
a
bet.
priceless gift.
Thank you very much.
Our protagonist, Jack, was a 65-year-old retiree who'd always been known for his offbeat sense of humor and love for numbers. He'd been searching for a way to support his community while securing his retirement income. One day, while browsing through the depths of the internet, Jack stumbled upon an article about Tax Code 664 and its potential benefits for charitable planning.
Hello, welcome to today's edition of Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness.
Curious and excited, Jack decided to delve further into this mysterious code. He spent hours poring over tax law books and articles until he became a self-proclaimed expert on the subject. He'd tell his friends, "Who needs Sudoku when you've got tax codes to crack?" Armed with his newfound knowledge, Jack approached his financial advisor, Martha, and shared his idea of utilizing Tax Code 664 to set up a charitable trust. He was convinced that this strategy would benefit not only his retirement, but also his beloved community, particularly the revitalization of the local park. With a twinkle in her eye, Martha acknowledged Jack's enthusiasm and praised his resourcefulness. Together, they devised a plan to establish a charitable trust that provided Jack with a stable retirement income and directed the remaining funds towards renovating the park. Word of Jack's innovative approach spread like wildfire, inspiring others in the community to explore the potential of Tax Code 664. Soon, more and more people began implementing charitable planning strategies to support various community projects, ranging from building a new animal shelter to establishing a local art center. As Jack took his daily strolls through the newly renovated park, he couldn't help but smile. His Tax Code 664 adventure had not only secured his retirement, but also transformed the community in more ways than he could have ever imagined. With a wink and a grin, Jack would often say, "Looks like the joke's on boring retirement plans." Who knew tax codes could be so much fun? Who? Remember, your financial journey can be both impactful and entertaining when you explore the potential of charitable planning with Tax Code 664. Visit endowamerica.com. With the right knowledge and guidance, anyone can turn their dreams into a reality. Leave a lasting legacy that benefits generations to come. endowamerica.com. Plan, prosper, pass on. The power of 664.
And they are powerful 664 trusts. They can do so many things, do such a great job of taking care of yourself, providing you with an income for your life, and then they are a great tool that you can pass on to the community and make the community more sound, more charitably inclined, more beneficial to everybody. And it's a better way to look at things. It's a spiritual way of looking at things. I think that's really important. We need to be able to reach that spiritual level. You know, once you get your confidence over money and your confidence over your time and your relationships, you get to that spiritual level. And the spiritual level is very important because that's how human kindness helps to keep you healthy. It has been proven that you have better health as a result of being a giver, but you also have better life because you've done something for yourself as well. That's why the theory of social charity is so powerful, where a section of the tax code 664 equals endowment squared. Endowment for yourself and then an endowment that you leave to the community. Much better way to provide for the community, a much better way to provide for yourself than anything else that's out there, actually, because you can do an unlimited amount and you can use non-cash assets to do that. So one of the other programs that is available under those sections of the tax code that Congress gave us all those years ago in 1969 is the pooled income fund, and that is a very simple way to take advantage of a charitable giving device without having to go through all of the machinations of creating your own trust. And so when you're looking at financial growth, when you're looking at unlocking the key to financial growth, you want to know how to utilize the benefits that are available to you from the law. You know, you have the right and privilege to reduce your taxes as much as legally possible, and you need to know how to do that. And pooled income funds are one of the simpler ways to do that. So you have to find a nonprofit organization that offers a pooled income fund, and there are a lot of them. We offer them through Endow America Network Foundation. We help nonprofits utilize our pooled income funds so they don't have to do the administration themselves. We also help anybody who wants to make a contribution to a nonprofit, but also wants to get income and also wants to save taxes, reduce their tax bite. This is the process that you would go through. You would create a gift agreement with a pooled income fund where you understand that your gift is going to be irrevocable, where it's going to create a tax deduction, where it's going to be used to purchase or to provide income to you. And the pooled income funds are very generous in what they can do. Pooled income funds will distribute all of the interest earnings, all of the dividend earnings. They'll distribute all of the net realized short-term capital gains, and they'll distribute up to 50% of the net realized long-term capital gains. So all of the income-producing aspect, and of course, if there was rent, for example, if rent was being received, that would be another form of income that would be distributed. So you're basically able to change the nature of an investment that you have that you might not want anymore. That's what happens. You buy something as an investment early on, and then as you mature, you realize there's a lot of things you want to do that are different. It happens a lot in real estate. The real estate right now, where you have increasing costs of insurance, increasing costs of mortgage, increasing costs of just about anything that's connected to real estate, but you also have an increasing value in the real estate. So you have a kind of a financial issue where you're not making as much money as you should be making on the amount of value that you have tied up in the real estate. And let's say your depreciation is gone, and you don't have any more mortgage, and you want to now rid yourself of the property, and you don't want to have another piece of real estate to replace it. So as an alternative to doing a 1031 exchange, if you're in the real estate business, you know what that is. And if you've dealt in commercial real estate in the past, you know that you can exchange property for another property and defer the capital gains tax when you do that. But that just defers the tax, and it also keeps you in the real estate business. So if you want to get out of the real estate business, you want to change that asset to something else. You could also sell the asset on an installment basis, which also reduces the amount of tax that you pay based on what you're going to receive in terms of what your capital gain is. But you're then relying on the credit of somebody else, and you don't have all of the capital to work with. So it's still in the real estate. You're still invested in real estate. So if you want to change the investment to something else, you want to give the real estate, turn it into capital that you can invest with your financial advisor elsewhere. You can use a pooled income fund to do that, where you gift the real estate to the pooled income fund. The pooled income fund will eventually sell that real estate and then turn that over to your financial advisor for them to manage for you to produce income. You also get a tax deduction for doing that, which you don't get with a 1031 exchange, and you don't get with an installment sale. So you get a tax deduction. You don't have to pay the capital gains tax. The capital gains tax is not paid because the pooled income fund is a charitable device and doesn't pay tax. So you have the full value of the asset without diminishing tax. You have a tax deduction, and then you get all the income. So the only thing you can't do is you can't spend the money you can't take the capital out of the pooled income fund and use it for yourself beyond the income. So if income is what you're trying to do, and income is what the most important aspect of planning when you're doing financial growth planning, when you're planning for income distribution later in life, when you're trying to figure out what to do for retirement, when you're trying to work out all those details, it's important to do it in a tax-free environment. It's important to do it with the least amount of tax, and it's also important to make sure that income is going to be there. So the pooled income fund, because it is connected to a charity, is also creditor protected. It's guaranteed for life, where you can't take out money. You know what happens to a lot of people who start removing their principal before too long, they start to run out of the money, and that's a problem. So pooled income funds can solve that. Very powerful devices. We use those to build endowments for the individual and then to pass those endowments on to others. When you're in a nonprofit, or you've created a nonprofit organization like the Amanda Hope nonprofit that Lorraine is involved in, that's a place where you want to build an endowment. You should do it in every nonprofit so that you don't have to worry about raising money. They do it in a very unique way, and not every organization has that capacity. So you have to be able to fund what you're doing, and that makes the world a better place, and it's a very spiritual way of looking at things. So human kindness is what we're all about here on Route 664. Don't forget to tune into our radio station at route664.org, and you'll also be able to find us on our website at endowamerica.com. Have a great week.